Hello Africa, welcome to Bottomline Africa. Tonight, is the wheel of justice slow in Africa or has it come off already? In some African countries, what needs to be done to shorten an otherwise long and narrow path to justice in Africa? Is the ICC targeting African leaders? These are just some of the questions we're going to seek answers for from our panel of jurists who are with me tonight. But before we take a look at our highlights, now let me introduce them shortly. We have Navi Pillay. She is a member of Africa Group and Accountability, also a former United Nations Commissioner for Human Rights. I also have in studio Richard Godstone. He is a member of Africa Group of Justice and Accountability, also a former Chief Prosecutor for the International Criminal Tribunals for Rwanda and Yugoslavia. We also have Bettina Ambach, who is the Director of Wayamo Foundation, an organization that helps build the capacity of national judicial systems and train judges, prosecutors, investigators, as well as journalists. I'm sure you're going to have a very interesting discussion tonight. But first, let me take you to our highlights tonight.
Fellow South Africans, I have decided to make certain changes to the composition of the executive.
Newly elected South African President Cyril Ramaphosa makes radical changes to his new cabinet lineup. Two top generals are among those that have been put on trial over the 2015 failed coup attempt in Burkina Faso. Tonight, we'll take you inside a prison in Bangui, where half of the jailbirds are convicted witches. And top jurists from around the continent meet to discuss how to fight impunity in East Africa. Good evening, Africa. Once again, the program begins right now. And our Twitter poll question is informed by that last bit on our highlights. And we are asking you, do you think African countries respect the rule of law? Do you believe African countries respect the rule of law? You know the drill. Our Twitter handle is at KTN News. You can as well tweet me at Yusuf Ibra. The hashtag to use, as always, is Bottomline Africa. And I'm going to go through some of your feedback within this program. But first, let me begin with our top story tonight, and it comes from all the way in South Africa. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, who took office 11 days ago, announced a sweeping reshuffle Monday that included reappointing of Nhlahla Nene, who was sacked by Jacob Zuma as finance minister. Ramaphosa stamped his mark on the presidency with his choice of Nene, while David Mabuza, the current premier of Mpumalanga province, was controversially named as the deputy president. Ramaphosa announced a total of 30 changes to minister and deputy minister positions after graft-tainted Zuma was forced to resign by the ruling ANC party earlier this month. Several Zuma allies were demoted or sacked, but Zuma's ex-wife, Nkosazana Lamini Zuma, was appointed minister to the presidency, responsible for planning, monitoring and evaluation.
Honorable members, it is deeply encouraging to...
Fellow South Africans, I have decided to make certain changes to the composition of the executive of our country. These changes are intended to ensure that national government is better equipped to continue implementing the mandate of this administration, and specifically the tasks identified in the State of the Nation address. Energy will be led by Minister Jeff Hadebe. Higher education and training will be led by Ms. Naledi Pandor. Home Affairs will have Minister Malusi Gigaba as the minister. Human Settlements will be led by Ms. Noma India Mfeketo. I wish to express my appreciation to all outgoing ministers and deputy ministers for their service to the Republic, to the government, and to the people of South Africa.
As the African National Congress, we welcome the appointments that the President has made. We are particularly happy because there was thorough consultation with the leadership of the ANC, but also other alliance partners, including the leagues. So we do welcome that.
From South Africa, let me now take you over to the most populous country in Africa. And Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari on Monday met 3 lecturers of the University of Maiduguri, and 10 police officers were released by Boko Haram insurgents more than 2 weeks ago. The lecturers were kidnapped by the Islamist militant group while on an oil exploration trip to Magumeri in the northeastern Borno state in July 2017, while the police officers were kidnapped in a raid on a convoy. Buhari, speaking at the meeting, restated his resolve to make sure that the recently kidnapped girls from a school in Dapchi will also be released, saying, quote-unquote, the government remains unrelenting towards rescuing all those abducted. 110 girls are missing after an attack on a school in northeast Nigeria by suspected Boko Haram insurgents in what may be one of the largest abductions since the Chibok kidnappings back in the year 2014.
While thanking the security agencies and all those who facilitated this, let me clearly reiterate the resolve of this administration to ensure all persons abducted by the insurgents are rescued or released safely. This is especially against the backdrop of the recent sad incident where another group of girls were abducted on the 19th instant from Government Girls Science and Technical College, Dapchi, Yobe State. I have since directed all security agencies to immediately ensure that every effort is directed to ensure the safety of our schools and students, as well as government would also work closely with all stakeholders, such as the United Nations and other donor agencies, voluntary organizations, towards rehabilitating and resettling all those displaced as a result of this conflict, to quicken a resumption of meaningful socio-economic activities.
Now, more than 80 people went on trial before a military court in Burkina Faso on Tuesday over the failed 2015 coup in a case being seen as a test for justice in the West African country. Now, 2 top generals accused of masterminding the plot, Gilbert Ndere and Jibril Basole, were cheered by supporters as they arrived at the court in the capital, Ouagadougou. Now, security was high with forces guarding a 200-meter yard cordon around the military tribunal. Now, traffic was blocked, mobile phones banned, and people entering the zone were searched. Basole and Ndere, key allies of former President Blaise Compaoré, was chased from power in October 2015 and among a total of 84 people on trial, including 66 military officials and 18 civilians. They face a variety of charges, including treason, undermining state security and murder over the coup launched in September 2015 by Compaoré's all-presidential guard against the transitional government that took power after the veteran leader's fall.
It is time for the truth. The how of nothing will be as it was begins today, and we are waiting for the Burkinabe justice so that the truth finally triumphs, because we have evolved over a long period of time. Lies and lies never build a nation. What we expect, we know well that it is politicized, and we will wish that even if it's politicized, that it is in favor of the people, because it is the people who sacrifice themselves for peace, security and development of the country. A journalist who does not have his working instrument is not a journalist. So there is a problem. There is a concern. I've been in the media business for 20 years. It is really hurting me that for such a historic trial, we cannot allow the audiovisual press to capture even the beginning of the trial, but at least the opening. At least it will show the people what is going on, how things started.
Over to the youngest nation in Africa, and nearly half of the population in war-torn South Sudan. is experiencing extreme hunger, with many more set to run out of food as famine looms, government and UN agencies said on Monday. Now, a year after South Sudan became the first country in 6 years to experience famine due to a drawn-out civil war, its National Bureau of Statistics warned that 40% more people are going hungry this year, even before the lean season sets in. Now, the Stat Bureau said in a statement that in January, 5.3 million people, representing 48% of the population, were facing acute food insecurity. Now, in 2017, some 100,000 people were affected by famine, meaning people started dying due to lack of food. It was declared over in June. 4 years of civil war have devastated agriculture there.
5.3 million people, representing 48% of the population, are estimated to be facing crisis and emergency IPC phase 3 and 4, acute food insecurity, out of which 1 million people are facing emergency IPC 4, that is acute food insecurity.
The number of people who will need food assistance in the coming month is simply alarming. According to this IPC report, and you have heard it, without sustained humanitarian assistance and access, it is estimated that nearly 7.1 million people could become food insecure in the coming month. This is a dire situation. The record number of people facing food insecurity, while at the same time we have crop production in the country going down every year for the past few years. Now, immediate humanitarian actions are therefore needed to stop any potential catastrophe in the coming month.
Now, back to South Africa, where the extradition case against convicted Dutch arms dealer Hoes Kowenhoven has been postponed at the Cape Town Magistrates Court. Now, the state is waiting for the extradition bundle to be signed and sent to the Directorate of Public Prosecutions. The 75-year-old was convicted in his absence for crimes against humanity and selling firearms to former Liberian President Charles Taylor will remain under house arrest at his 90 million rand home in Fresnay, where he was arrested in December. Justice Minister Michael Masuda had yet to sign the extradition order requested by the Netherlands. Cape Town Magistrate Court was told on Tuesday.
They told the magistrate that the bundle has apparently arrived, but not with the DPP. It's arrived at the Department of International Relations and produced a letter to that effect confirming that the bundle arrived in December 2017. Why they haven't released the bundle to the DPP is a mystery. We still don't know. And on that basis, the DPP asked for a postponement to another provisional date, which happens to be the 20th of April now. We agreed to a postponement because my client feels that he wants a defense. He wants a solid defense and a substantive defense, and we're in the hands of the court. We feel that the original request, based on the information that was placed before the magistrate in Pretoria, before he issued my client's arrest warrant.
Now, Somali women parliamentarians are attending a 3-day workshop to discuss their legislative roles in relation to women and child rights. Now, the workshop, organized by the African Union Mission in Somalia, well known as AMISOM, with the support of the British Embassy in the Mogadishu, is being attended by women parliamentarians from both the upper and lower houses of the federal parliament. Speaking during the opening ceremony yesterday, the Deputy Special Representative of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission for Somalia, Simon Mulongo, lauded the MPs for attending the training, noting that the legislatures from both chambers of parliament have a crucial role to play in promoting human rights, gender equality and child protection. The DSRCC said understanding of human rights will also ensure that young people are protected from exploitation and raised in a manner that will guarantee a peaceful and stable Somalia that respects equality.
What you've come to do here is fundamental in ensuring that you anchor issues of governance in our good country of Somalia on the tenets of gender equality, observance of human rights, and observance of child protection. these tenets we're talking about, issues of gender, issues of ensuring child protection, issues ensuring that the government integrates into their policies and plans and development plans, these key tenets will not come on a silver plate. You have to stand up and fight for them and ensure that they're integrated.
When you want to expand the enjoyment of human rights, women are best placed to do this. The Somali woman can play a very important role. We all know the critical role the Somali woman played during the Civil War. When it comes to advocating and championing the rights of children, who else is better suited than the woman?
There's
some of us who are educated while others are experienced but are... Take two. We have different skills. There's some... Take three. Pole. We have different skills.
Now, from Somalia, let me take you over to Malawi, where Malawi launched a new generation of typhoid vaccines last week, making it the first country in Africa that is using the vaccine to fight typhoid infections in children. Now, 4-year-old Golden Kondowe was the first child to receive the vaccine last week in Blantyres in Dirande Township there. Now, the settlement has registered at least 100 cases of typhoid and is said to be a high-risk area. The clinical trials are meant to test the efficacy and cost-effectiveness of the typhoid conjugate vaccine, well known as TCV, according to the Malawi Liverpool Wellcome Trust, which is running the program. About 24,000 children aged from 9 months to 12 years will take part in the study, funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Typhoid is a highly contagious infection caused by the Salmonella enterica typhoid bacteria. It is contracted by consuming contaminated foods or drinks, and symptoms include nausea, fever, abdominal pain, and pink spots on the chest.
The coming in of this vaccine is very significant in Ndilandi because we have a huge population of about 140,373. And with the study that our colleagues did, they found that Ndilandi has a lot of typhoid cases. So the coming in of this vaccine, we hope to reduce the number of the cases that we register.
Until about 5 years ago, there was relatively little typhoid here in Blantyre in Malawi. And what we have been able to show is that there has been a big outbreak, not only in Malawi and Blantyre, but across many big cities in Africa. And we've been able to show that this is a new strain of typhoid that came across to the continent from the Indian subcontinent, and it's multi-drug resistant, which means that it's transmitted very quickly and spread very quickly.
Now, over to Egypt, where tram commuters are now treated to a luxurious ride in the Egyptian city of Alexandria after the historic public service underwent a renovation there. Now, the new carriages now offer new services to compensate for increasing transport prices and battle traffic jams, officials say. Now, commuters can watch LCD screens, read newspapers, or even eat at the tram's buffet in a fit to encourage more use. A majority of the tram cars are almost 60 years old. Manager of the city's tramway service, Hani Mohammed, says Alexandria's tramway system, operating since 1860, is the oldest in Africa.
As the tram carriages became really old, we thought we should develop the carriages so that the service better suits the commuters in Alexandria. The tram cars are 50 to 60 years old. This means that the tram's lifespan is over. As an operator, I have to take into consideration the general and technical condition of the tram so that it will be able to suit the modern days. It is beautiful and entertaining service. It is a nice idea and it is very comfortable.
Now, this is an interesting one. In a prison in the Central African Republic, nearly half of the inmates there are accused of witchcraft. Yes, you heard me right. Half of the inmates there are technically witches. Among the bunk beds in a dimly lit cell there, deep inside a women's prison near the Central African Republic capital of Bangui, religious mamas take on an almost mystical aura, huddled around a cluster of icons in its jail for quote-unquote practices of charlatanism and sorcery, pray the rosary, mustering the last of their strength as if the only recourse left to them is the divine. Actually, let me let you watch some of the clips there from the Central African Republic.
Sometimes people say the women are innocent, while others say they are not. But I do not practice quackery. I can't know everything about it. I don't believe I should be in here. My sister's husband died. He was not well cared for, and that's why my sister got me into trouble. In Africa, there's a category of people who are still accused of witchcraft, namely vulnerable people, women, children, and the elderly. When the problem arises and it happens in front of the eyes of the law, even the judges has difficulty seeing evidence. It is always mystical. You can't see much.